A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to my FB Live. First of all, I would like to extend my prayers and deepest condolences to all the families who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, today, I'm going to talk about stress management. And the reason why I'm talking about stress management is because a lot of people wrote to me and they said that this pandemic has caused some kind of a collective anxiety amongst people. And this was a subject on which I had done some research along with my colleagues here at IIM Indore. And therefore, I thought that I must reach out to all of you and talk to you about this. Now, as I used to do in my early FB Live sessions, today is going to be exactly the same way. I'm going to talk to you all for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I will take your questions over here. So please feel free to ask your questions. Now, first of all, I would want to break some myths that are related to stress. For example, many people think that stress doesn't hurt. Please remember, it does. Stress hurts. If you do not address the stressors that are built inside you, they are far more likely to have psychosomatic consequences for you, including your physical and mental health. And therefore, do not ignore stress. The second myth that some people have is that everyone gets stressed because of the same reasons. No, not at all. All of us are unique. All of us are different people. And therefore, different things may stress us out. Some people may get stressed out because of some physical discomfort. Others may get stressed out because of some emotional discomfort. And therefore, please note that you're not supposed to compare your situation with others. But what you have to look at is if there is something which is bothering you. And the third myth about stress is that if there are no symptoms, there's no stress. Not at all. While there are symptoms like body ache, lack of concentration, errors in decision making, etc., but simply because you do not have symptoms does not mean that you do not have stress. It's almost like the asymptomatic variation of this virus. You may be asymptomatic, but you may still have stress. What you need to understand is, are you feeling very differently from how you used to feel usually? Are you feeling that life suddenly has less meaning for you, has less excitement for you? When you get up in the morning, you don't feel like getting off the bed. Then remember, you are in stress. You are facing stress and it is building up inside you. Now, what causes this stress is what I'm going to talk about. And according to me, what fuels the stress is fuel, F-U-E-L, where the F stands for fear, the U stands for uncertainty, the E stands for envy, and L stands for lethargy. I'm going to talk a little bit about all of these four. The first one is fear. And there are two big fears that actually cause us a lot of stress. The first fear is around the resources that we have. Resources in terms of money, resources in terms of things, resources in terms of family background, so on and so forth. Why? Because we tend to associate whatever we can achieve in our life, whatever we wish to dream about in our life, whatever self-respect that we have with the amount of resources that we have. Please remember, the first wave of COVID pandemic already taught us that we can do with much less than we have. What we have to do is we have to separate from what we want, what we really need. We need to differentiate between these two. I personally remember that during the lockdown, early last year, when we had the lockdown from March to June, I could do whatever I wanted to do with much less. I realized that I don't have to give my shirt every day for dry cleaning. I could keep the same shirt. I could reuse, I could recycle a lot of things. And therefore, please remember that you can stretch your resources only if instead of focusing on what you want, you focus on what you need. And if you do have time as a resource available with you, my suggestion to you is invest it in relationships. Don't invest it in things, but invest it in relationships. And that will help you in getting over this fear, which is around the lack of resources. And then there's a fear which has been bothering all of us, particularly in this second wave, the fear of death. the fear of death of also our loved ones, the people around us, friends, families. Many of us have been affected. Many of us have seen death amongst the people who are close to us. Now here, I want to tell you something about the nature of human being. Who are we really? Is this body what symbolizes us? The body is merely an outside cloth, an outside setting. What is inside the body, if you understand what I am trying to tell you about, is my belief. Of course, you may not agree with my belief, but to me, body is temporary. Anything which was born has to necessarily die. It is the soul which is permanent. It is the soul which is immortal. And when it comes to the soul, the Gita itself says, Nainam chindanti shastrani. Weapons cannot drill holes in it. Nainam dahati pavakaha. Fire cannot destroy it. Nachainam kledhyantyapo. Water cannot make it wet. Nashoshiyati maruta. The wind cannot make it dry. Such is the nature of soul. But if at all you have lost someone close to you, my suggestion is don't be afraid of it. Don't make it a stressor in your life. If you do not believe in the concept of soul, what are we really? We are what we leave behind. We are a legacy. We are a memory. And therefore, keep those memories, accumulate the memories of the person that you have lost, all the good memories of the person that you have lost, keep it with you. And please, please grieve if you have to. There is absolutely no weakness in crying, but you must express your grief. If at all you have lost somebody close to you, do not keep it within yourself. And if you can get over this fear, you will get over a lot of stress. The you is the uncertainty. In the times of adversity, we really don't know what's going to happen. Now here, I talk about dividing everything into two areas. Areas of concern and areas of influence. Areas of concerns are those areas on which you have absolutely no control. An area of influence are those areas, those things where you have control. For example, how long is this pandemic going to be? How is this virus going to mutate? How are things going to be? What is the future going to look like? We have absolutely no control over it. And therefore, that is an area of concern. Try to take your mind off it. What is your area of control? We have control over what we can do. I can wear a mask. I can make sure that I keep a social distance. I can make sure that I keep my hand hygiene and my physical hygiene. I can make sure that I look after myself, my body, my mental state. I can make sure that I take care of the people around me. I can make sure that I reach out to those who need me, people from the disadvantaged sections of the society. And therefore, those are the things. If you take your mind over there, not only would you reduce your stress, but because you would be doing something for others, the gratitude that you will receive from them is going to make you feel very, very positive. The third cause of stress is envy. We always try to compare ourselves with others, our colleagues, our spouses, our families, our neighbors, people from other countries, so on and so forth. I have done a very big study where I spoke to leaders across the country about how did they define success. And one of the things all of them said is that the definition of success for them has actually changed over the years. Likewise, it has been for me. Most people who eventually get into leadership roles, who figure out as to what is it that they really want to do with their life, initially used to define success by looking at how they were doing with respect to other people. Subsequently, their definition of success changes and they start to try and compare their achievements today with what their achievements were yesterday. But eventually, when you reach that stage, when you get your calling, when you understand your calling, when you figure out what is the purpose of your life, you measure your success merely by looking at, are you really enjoying doing whatever it is that you're doing? Are you doing whatever it is that you're doing with your full passion? Do you identify yourself? Do you find meaning in what you're doing? And therefore, please remember, envy is completely unnecessary. It simply does not make sense for you to compare yourself or whatever it is that you have or whoever it is that you are with others. Just make sure that you're trying to realize your own destiny. Just make sure that you're doing your swadharma. And that will take care of this envy part. The L is lethargy, the inaction. Many times we know what is it that is bothering us, but we don't take any action against it. What I want you to try and do is make a journal. Make a journal and put entries into it every day. Whenever you are in stress, see, is there any particular place that you have been in? Try to do this analysis. When you are in a particular place that you get stressed, if you are with a particular person, do you get stressed? While doing a certain activity, do you get stressed? Do you get stressed when you're in closed rooms? Do you get stressed when you are in a place which is very hot or a place which is very cold? And once you have done this analysis on the basis of looking at the journal again, make sure that you address those concerns. For example, if you think that you get stressed if you're living in confined spaces, and that is something a lot of us have been forced to do during the lockdown and during this pandemic, then try to rearrange the furniture in your room. I can understand that not all of us can afford to have big houses, but even if you have a small room, if you keep less furniture inside the room, if you keep low furniture rather than high furniture, if you keep some plants, if you make sure that your doors and windows are open, if you keep a big mirror, and if you keep two parallel mirrors, you will realize that the room will start looking big. But what I mean is, try to understand. You will have to do this analysis if there is something in particular that is causing you stress. So if you take care of that fuel, your stress levels are going to come down. And how can you further do something proactively? And there I give you the formula that you must rest. R-E-S-T. The R stands for removing negativity. The E stands for exercise. The S stands for sleep, and the T stands for talk. The first one, remove negativity, which means exclude toxic people from your life. Try to see that you're not looking at negative news. If you're a part of any of those WhatsApp groups which keep sending you those negative messages, which keep sending you those bigoted messages, make sure that you block those people. Make sure that you get out of those groups. Please be proactive. You don't have to necessarily be a part of all such groups. You don't have to necessarily get all the forwards. Make a choice, block that person. Don't watch TV all day. If at all you have to watch TV. I took off my TV connection 12 years back, and I have not missed it at all. I see what I wish to see, not what I'm being shown. I hear what I wish to hear, not what is being forced into my ears. And please remember, all of you also had that choice. You don't have to listen to negativity. Try to follow people who talk about positivity. A lot of people ask me that, don't you get angry about things? Why don't you write anything negative? So far as your social media is concerned, people who follow me on Twitter at Ask Himanshu Rai, they've asked me many times, why don't you write anything negative? Why don't you get angry about things? And I've kept telling people, I have always told people, look, getting angry is natural, but staying angry is a choice. And I've made a choice not to stay angry. There is already a lot of negative stuff out there. Why should I contribute to it? And therefore, I try to look at the positive side of people. I try to look at the positive side of things. I'm not saying that others who are bringing out the negatives, they're doing something wrong. But what I'm saying is there are times when you need big doses of positivity. And this is the time when you actually need them. So follow those people. Be in touch with those people. And always try to surround yourself with people who are positive, people who are happy, people with whom you can have a meaningful relationship. The E is exercise. Now, many people, when I ask them, do you exercise? They say, yes, absolutely. I do 15 minutes of walking. Please note one thing. Anything less than 45 minutes is not an exercise. It's not an exercise. You must exercise for at least 45 minutes and choose whatever works for you. For me, yoga works. And if any of you want to follow the yoga that I do, the Ashtanga Yoga, you can actually go to my YouTube channel, which is Himanshu Rai Official. And there I have talked about many yogasanas and pranayams along with my Ayurveda guru. In particular, Those of you who have problems of immunity, you should look at the pranayam, and you should always do something which I call the Sukshma Yoga, which is called the Sukshma Yoga. Sukshma Yoga makes sure that all your joints are always in a working condition, because that is the first thing that gets impacted if you have any kind of fever, if you have any kind of a disease. And therefore, make sure that you do something. And if you're a gym person, by all means, do your gym, do your Pilates, but make sure that you're doing it for more than 45 minutes. Remember, a healthy mind can reside only in a healthy body. You must take care of your body, and you must take care of your body all the time, not just in these days, because these days there seems to be this affliction around. You must take care of your body all your life. Only then can you do everything that it is that you love to do. The S, as I said, stands for sleep. You must get 6 hours of good sleep every day, no matter what. And for that, what do you have to do? You must make sure that you eat at least 2 hours before you go to bed. You must make sure that you do not look at a device, even your phone, at least 2 hours before you go to sleep. And you must make sure that even if you read, I have this habit of reading before I go to sleep, you must read in a sitting position. Do not lie down on your bed and then read. That's not a great thing so far as your health is concerned. And if you still have sleeping problems, I would suggest that you have Brahmi. Brahmi helps you in getting good sleep. So take a shower with warm water, and perhaps with some warm milk, have some Brahmi along with it, and you will get some good sleep. And finally, the T. The T stands for talk. Don't keep your stuff inside you. Talk to somebody. If you think you're feeling stressed about something, talk to somebody. And which is why right in the beginning I said that you must invest into relationships. You must try to have those people as friends who are not listening to you to merely give a response, but they are listening to you to actually understand you. So you must talk. Reach out to those people who you think can bring about positivity in your life. And as I've said, I'm always there. My initiative, Center for Conflict Management, center4cm.org, is always there for you people to write in. I'm always around. You can write to me at himanshurai@gmail.com, and I'll always be there to talk to you should you need to. But I'm sure all of you have some friends in your life. All of you have families. And therefore, make sure that you talk to them. Talk to them about your discomforts. Talk to them about your feelings. Talk to them about your emotions. And you would realize that even if they don't do anything, merely the fact that you have spoken to them, merely the fact that you have managed to voice what was inside you, will make you feel very good. So to all of my friends over there, I wish that you take care of the fuel. Please remember, you have to get over your fear. You have to get over this uncertainty. You have to make sure that you do not feel any envy, and you have to get over this lethargy and bring rest to your life by making sure that you remove negativity, by making sure that you exercise, by making sure that you sleep well, and by making sure that you talk it out if at all there is something inside you. Thank you very much for listening to me. And now I'm going to take questions from all of you. So if you have any questions, please type them and I'll try my best to answer. Good evening, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I can see a lot of love and affection from all of you, and I'm extremely grateful. Now, this is the gratitude that I'm talking about. When I see all of these messages, I feel very good. I feel light. I feel useful. I feel that my life is meaningful. And that is precisely what all of you should also be doing, trying to reach out to people and helping in any possible way that you can. Thank you very much, Anand. Thank you, Jayalakshmi. Thank you, Alka. Thank you, Keshav. Yes, you must bring rest. Meditation works. Absolutely, Rohit. Rohit has a question that does meditation work. Meditation does work. But the only thing you need to understand is that meditation is something which you cannot practice. Meditation is something which is a consequence. So when we talk about dhyan in the Ashtanga Yoga, we are talking about the last 4 limbs, the first 4 limbs, which is the yam, niyam, asana, and pranayam. These are the 4 limbs that we can practice. And the more we practice, the other 4 limbs start happening one by one. So first we get into the stage of pratyahar, then the stage of dharana, then the stage of dhyan, and then the stage of samadhi. So those 4 are consequences, while these 4 are things that you can practice. So when we talk about meditation, what it means is that you must first of all make your body strong and flexible through the asanas. You must make your life disciplined through the yam and niyam. And you must take control of your breath with the pranayam. And once you do this, then when you sit after the pranayam, you will feel that stage when you can actually look inward, when you can actually introspect, when you can look inside, and you will realize that you are getting answers from within. You will be able to draw from the inner resources that you have. So yes, meditation does help. Thank you, Barkat. I hope everything is good in the valley. Thank you, Dipali. I try my best to reach out to as many people as I can. Prakhar has a question that you think there should be a ban on social media content that is psychologically stressing the mind, this thing. What should be the correct age for people to join social media? Prakhar, it's a difficult one for the simple reason that I'm not sure if we can ban it. Banning is nigh impossible. I mean, there are regimes across the world which have tried to ban social media, but we live in a hyper-connected world. We live in the age of information, and therefore information will come in. The idea is, can we curate this information? And therefore, I believe one of the job of the academics that is going to be is to make sure that what we give out through content on the social media is actually vidya and not avidya. I'll explain to you the difference between these two. For example, if 10 years back, if you were to type on Google 10 ways to commit suicide, it'll tell you ways of committing suicide. The first 10 results would be ways of committing suicide, from easy to difficult, from less painful to most painful, so on and so forth. But today, if you type 10 ways of committing suicide on Google, I think the first 10 results are going to be that of counselors. And that is what I mean is the difference between vidya and avidya. The first one is avidya, and the second one is vidya. And therefore, when you ask me what is the correct age for people to join social media, again, I think it depends on the individual maturity of the people that you're talking about. So if at all you're asking me about your sibling or your child, then I would suggest that you look at what kind of an impact is this person likely to have? This child or this young boy or girl, is the boy very impressionable? Is the girl very impressionable? And if you think they are, then make sure that you make them stay away from social media, or at least there has to be some kind. People are taking all kind of vrats. People are doing fasting. I think you should also do some fasting so far as social media is concerned. You should also do some fasting so far as your device is concerned. And for that, there is actually no age. For everyone, you should do this electronic fasting, as I call it. Fuel and rest. I try to come up with these acronyms so that they're easier for you to remember. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anamika. Those are very kind words that you have for me. I try to bring in positivity, yes, and I hope all of you are positive now. Both. Pallavi has this question that should we identify and address the stressors, or should we find out the de-stressors? You have to use a combination of both. And which is why I talked about fuel separately and rest separately, because fuel is all about identifying the stressor, and rest is about actually implementing the de-stressors in your life. You have to do both. But most important part is that the de-stressor is unlikely to work if you have not removed the stressors in your life. And therefore, I think there is some kind of an order to this madness that I'm talking about. Kanishk, that's a great question, how to remove anger. I want to look at anger very, very philosophically. And one of the things that I've always said, that anger is actually symptomatic of attachment. You get angry only and if only you are attached to someone or something. By and large, what we try to do is we try to attack the symptoms. So if I'm getting angry, I'll try to say that, okay, the next time when I'm getting angry, I'll count up to 10 in my head and then talk. Or the next time when I'm getting angry, I'll drink a glass of water, take a few deep breaths and then talk. While that will help you, you must also try to find out the root cause of that anger. And therefore, as I said, the root cause always is attachment. Find out what is it that you're attached to. Are you too attached to a person? Are you too attached to something that you perceive to be a value of yours? Are you too attached to yourself? Which means, is it your ego which is making you angry when things are not going your way, or if somebody disagrees with you? Once you have figured out that root cause, start working on that root cause. But always remember, first of all, you need to acknowledge that there is a cause which lies within you. Only once you acknowledge it, only once you accept it, you will be able to do something about it. Nilesh, by fuel, as I said, fuel is the things that cause us stress. The F, as I said, is fear, and that is the fear of the unavailability of resources that we have and the fear that surrounds death. Then the E that I talked about is actually, the U that I talked about is uncertainty. Uncertainty about what is going to happen. The E that I talked about is about envy. And the L that I have talked about is lethargy, which is the inaction, not doing things on time. And these are the things that are potential stressors. So you have to manage these stressors. Exactly, Rima, we have to work on ourselves. Thank you, Rashika. Rajat, I know nothing can be more heartbreaking than seeing a person who's just about started to live die. But as I said, I mean, death is a certainty. Death is a certainty. If you were born, you will die. What do you do, Rajat is asking, if someone very young dies, someone close to you? As I said, the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand the nature of death. Because only once you understand death will you be able to appreciate and understand life. For example, people say that life is not about the moments that you live. Life is about the moments that take your breath away. Life is about how you live whatever it is, the moments, the number of moments that you have lived. And therefore, even when it comes to a young one, a young person in your life, make sure that first thing that you do is grieve. Take out that grief inside you. Talk to people and make sure that you have addressed that particular thing in your heart first. One of the things that I've learned is that if you have a bad memory, it's very difficult to obliterate the memory. We are human beings. There is going to be a bit of a recollection. And that always reminds me of that story. That imagine that you are trying to make some shikanji, and a person who's preparing that shikanji for you has added too much lemon in a glass of water, along with the sugar, etc., sugar and salt. Now you cannot take the lemon out. And therefore, you have two choices. Either drink that shikanji, which obviously you're not going to like because it is too acidic. There is too much lime in it. Or you throw it away thinking that it's a waste. But there's another thing you can do. You can add more water and you can add more sugar. Now, what will happen is that now, instead of one glass of bad shikanji, you have 2 glasses of good shikanji. And what I mean by that is this, that if you have a bad memory, make new memories. Fill your life with such wonderful memories that this particular bad memory is going to fade away. If you have lost somebody young, make sure that you spend a part of your life, make sure that you spend a part of your resources in taking care of the young and creating such wonderful memories with young people around you that that particular memory simply fades away into the background. Monica, as I said, meditation is actually a consequence. So the first thing that I would suggest you do as a first step towards meditation is to make sure that you lead a life of discipline, which means getting up at the right time, getting the right kind of sleep, making sure that you have a control over breath by doing the pranayama, and making sure that your body is fit by doing asanas or whatever form of exercise that you really like to do. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mukesh. Barkat, yes, I will take another session. In fact, a lot of my friends, they requested me that their parents also wanted to join in, and they requested me if I can take a session in Hindi. So yes, I promise you guys that I will take another session, just this session on stress management, on Tanav Prabandhan in Hindi, so that those who are not very well versed with English can also join in. I'm afraid I don't know many of the languages, but I can take a session in Hindi, I can take a session in Bhojpuri, and I can take a session in Punjabi. I'll try to take a session in Hindi because I believe that the other two languages, who people who speak those languages can also understand Hindi. I'll try to create some kind of subtitles in my video as and when time permits, so that people who speak other languages can also look at that video, and by looking at the subtitles can use it possibly. I'll ask the volunteers of my CCM team to do so. As I realize, as always, we are short of time now. We've already run out of time. So thank you very much for being here. And as I said, that I will choose one of the other weekends very, very soon to give the same talk in Hindi as well. Meanwhile, all of you, please make sure that you stay home. Don't go out unless it is absolutely necessary. Make sure that you're wearing a mask. Make sure that you're maintaining that physical distance. Make sure that you are practicing hand hygiene. Make sure that you tell others around you to do exactly this, and make sure that you do something. You do something for people who are not capable of doing it for themselves. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Keep writing to me.